The quake, measuring 5.2 on the Richter scale, had its epicentre near Market Raisin in Lincolnshire, but shook people awake right across the region. Well, James Robeson is at the British Geological Survey at Keyworth in Nottinghamshire. James, good afternoon. Tell us more.
Hello, Dom. Yes, here at the British Geological Survey, they've been measuring and monitoring what happened last night at about 1 o'clock, just before 1 o'clock in the morning, and how the waves moved out across the East Midlands. And their map here shows that the epicentre was just north of Market Raisin, just north of Lincoln itself. But, of course, those effects did move out, as we said, right across the East Midlands. This morning in Lincolnshire towns, they were assessing the damage. With the earthquake's epicentre near Market Raisin, these communities had felt the greatest force. Earlier, householders have been out checking the impact to their properties.
I had a feeling it was an earthquake. I heard a lot of noise, a lot of crashing, and so I came outside. A lot of my street had woken up by that point. A lot of people were coming outside, so I had a look to find that it was my property was the main property that was damaged, and that my chimney stack had virtually collapsed.
But it was by no means confined to Lincolnshire. Right across the East Midlands, damage was caused. This was by falling chimneys in Derby. At the house opposite the damaged takeaway, Mohammed Iqbal was checking for possible damage to his property with a builder and a friend.
I've never actually seen a house go like that, and I've actually, witnessed it myself, because my legs just went up in the air and the mattress went like that.
10 miles away in Ilkeston, Alistair Wheeldon was just shutting down his computer when the earthquake struck.
Just as I was about to stand up, the whole house shook, which threw me to the floor. I cartwheeled to the left-hand side by about a metre, went down on all fours, and found that the computer had actually pulled the cable out of the wall by about a metre itself.
So far, fortunately, there have been no reports of serious injuries to people in our region. Well, with me now is Dr. David Kerridge, who's head of the seismology department at the British Geological Survey. David, in simple terms, why did this earthquake happen here in England?
Well, normally we associate very big earthquakes with the plate boundaries, and the closest one to us is in the mid-Atlantic. But nevertheless, the stresses and strains from movements transmit throughout the crust, and below us the geology is like a mosaic of rocks, and stresses build up, and every so often one of those blocks will move relative to another, and that will be an earthquake. So in the UK we get about 200 a year, and this is quite large on the scale of events that we normally see.
Now, this was a 5.2. Now, in Pakistan in 2005, for instance, that was a 7.6. It doesn't sound like much of a difference in numbers, but it's an enormous difference, isn't it?
It is, because we express earthquake size in the Richter scale, and when you increase by 1 magnitude on the Richter scale, you actually release 30 times more energy. That means that the Pakistan earthquake released several thousand times as much energy as this earthquake that we observed in the early hours.
Well, David, thank you very much for the moment. We're going to hear more about that at 6:30 tonight. One thing that David has told me is we may need to watch out for aftershocks. There could be another small shock on its way.